Everyone, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and today we're talking about the chilling adventures of Sabrina. The dark coming-of-age story is back for a second season and follows the teenage witch as she starts to truly explore her darker side. There to give her a nudge and conjure up the chaos in the Spellman household is the scheming and sultry Madam Satan, played by Michelle Gomez, who joins us today. But before we bring her out, here's a sneak peek of Season 2.
Something is different about Sabrina.
I feel like I've been walking down this darker path. But maybe it's not so bad.
She had a dark baptism, and there's nothing we can do to stop her.
This is uncharted territory. Do you think you can handle it? I can choose to be afraid of my powers, or I can use them.
We've heard reports of levitation, the slaughter of demons, resurrection of witches. How does a first-year, half-mortal student manage that?
I feel I must warn you. This is who I am.
Sabrina! You have loved the power I have given you.
What is it you want from me?
Please help me welcome Michelle Gomez. Woo, that trailer is like sultry. It's dark, it's sexy, it's magic, it's everything.
It is a killer.
Yes.
It totally is. Yeah. No, I was really rocking out to it there, and very excited to be in it, obviously, because it's really quite good.
And it was such a ride for fans the first season because we knew the old school Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and this one was so much darker and intricate and more into the occult, and it was so fun to watch. And I got to check out the first 2 or 3 episodes of second season, and you guys keep pushing it into that darkness.
It's definitely, we're taking witchcraftery to the next level. I'm somehow taking it to a level where people can relate to it. Yeah. The first Sabrina that a lot of us grew up with and know, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that original series. However, this is an entirely different version of it. And it was for a different time, right? It was for a different audience. And, the audience that we have today has moved with the times and is a lot more sophisticated. We don't need to patronize them, and we don't need to explain much to them. And if you can't catch up, then watch a different show. It's very, very cool.
You have such a dedicated fan base. I know from your Doctor Who days, they followed you over into this series. This is the second time I've seen you at Build. They come and support you. What has the feedback been like from your fan base on social media with season 1 and their feelings coming into season 2?
Oh my God, it's just been overwhelmingly amazing and such a relief. I have worked before Sabrina, and
just a little.
There was a job that I did recently, and that was Doctor Who, and I thought I'm never going to get another job like that again. That was so tailor-made and written for me and for all my strengths, of which there's 2, and that's just like pissing about really. But what's been wonderful is that just when I thought I was never going to work again, like I was never going to get another Missy, in comes Madam Satan, and I am so grateful for that because she's very, very naughty, and I love her.
So naughty.
She's so naughty.
I love her. She both turns me on and scares me. Like, and,
me too.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're like,
me too.
I'm into it, and then you're like, but don't hurt me.
Yeah. No, she's like your worst best frenemy.
Yeah. So let's talk about season 2. We know that Sabrina is kind of diving more into her witchcraft. She's going to be at the academy more. So what does that mean for Principal Wardwell?
Well, it means I might have to eat more men. I'm going to have to eat my way to the top. I'm now the principal of the school. But now I think Madam Satan's thinking, wait a minute, what's my purpose? What am I doing here? It's how am I moving forward? What's my role? And so, she questions the Dark Lord and is basically waiting for her next mission. And so it's just sort of made her job more difficult. The fact that Sabrina is proving to be not much of a pushover, that, she has her own sense of self. And it's impressive and frustrating at the same time, I think, for Madam Satan.
But it's such a fun dynamic because, she's Madam Satan, so we know she's bad. But then also she sort of is a mentor in certain ways to Sabrina, and it can get a little, not confusing. She's not good, but sometimes you do find yourself siding with her.
No, it's confusing.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely confusing, and it's confusing in a good way because Roberto's created a world that's not black and white, right? We're firmly in the grey, and when you're in there, anything can happen. When none of us are sitting firmly in our little pigeonholes and in our boxes, he allows us to bleed through into different areas, which is what life is like. You think you're certain about something, and then something comes along and it completely rocks your world, and all of a sudden all of your values and all of your belief systems are thrown out the window, and you get to sort of recreate yourself. And I think that's possibly on the cards for Madam Satan. Just the name alone, it's like I've never played a character called Alice or Sue. It's like it's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. And she's a villain, but you approach her in this way where, again, we end up kind of siding with her. So take me through your process, because it's fun that she has those layers and those dynamics, because to play a straight villain, I'm sure, might get kind of boring.
Listen, I seem to be cornering the market in playing villains and playing likable villains. I couldn't really. It was important to me not just to be bad, right? I think I would get bored with that, and so would the audience. So I want to have as much fun with it as I can, and that means bringing a nuance to it and a deeper understanding of why she's bad, right? I don't believe any of us are born evil. I think life comes in and there's circumstances that can force our hand to become a little less innocent than we once were when we were little children. And so I think I think my challenge there then is to not make her likable, because I'm British and we don't seem to care whether you like us or not as villains, but just so I like her. Right, and can understand it. I suppose what I'm talking about here is empathy, and trying to understand what her motivations are.
Right. And we get to see a little bit of that in the second season, and in those scenes, you get to see her vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And why do you think that's important, that we get to actually see that there is a soul inside of her?
I think that allowing the audience to experience Madam Satan's vulnerability raises the stakes. Yeah. It just gives it more of a dynamic, more drama, and more purpose. And it also allows the audience to relate to some of the choices that maybe they've made, and also I love the hope that's in Madam Satan, and that, maybe she can change. Yeah. Or given the choice, how does the audience feel about her changing for the good? I would wager she should possibly stay evil because it's a little more fun. But she has to, but then she's not the only one representing badness, right? Or darkness or evil. Because this little gal here, she's got a paprika finish, that one. She's got a little like chili flake at the end, at the end. She's remarkable, Kiernan Shipka, and in that she's the best casting for this role that you could possibly imagine, because she has such innocence, but she's also deeply grounded, knows herself, is self-possessed, intelligent, funny, has such stamina, and she's kind of wicked. right? You know, so I think we're going to see this really amazing, like, power shift between the two of them. And I feel like I've met her in a past life.
Are you into that sort of?
No, not really. I mean,
I kind of am. I totally am. That's why I asked. It's fun to think about.
Okay, I feel like if we're getting to the big existential questions that we all ask ourselves, and perhaps sometimes it doesn't, we don't want to look at those bigger questions for too long or too deeply, because none of us have the answers, right? And so I do feel like there's got to be something out there, right? It can't be just random, you know. Otherwise, what's the point? And so I'm not saying that I'm religious in any way, shape, or form whatsoever, because I don't like wearing hats in church. But I do have a faith in something bigger than myself out there. I did not get the sun up this morning. I am not getting the sun down this evening. And there's a lot of beauty out there. So I see faith and beauty and hope in nature. And if there's a little bit of witchcraft, you know, sprinkled over that as well, that's just dark magic that I kind of dig.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, spirituality is such a personal
Yes.
thing, and it is what you want it to be and what fits into your life. So everything you're saying, I'm co-signing.
Yeah.
Kiernan's evolution as Sabrina has been so gradual and perfect and fun to watch, as has Mrs. Wardwell. And we've seen in her hair and her fashion and her walk and everything. So how intentional is that from you, or how much of that is in the script, just like how she continues to become more and more Madam Satan?
Yeah, one of the big shift was baked into the script, and was one of the things that when I initially read it, I was just like, I will make this my life's purpose to play this role, and because they couldn't be more different. They are absolutely two sides of the same coin, and it was really, really fun making that transition. And you know, so many people thought I died in the beginning. I was like, I'm in this show called Sabrina. And then when I died, some of my friends, out of loyalty, turned off. And I was like, no, I'm not really dead. No, oh my God, this worked too well. And so it's just ridiculously good fun, you know, doing two things at the same time, juggling and... Was it rubbing your head at the same time, which you can see I can't do?
Of all of her powers, which is one that maybe you would like to bring into your... Because she's very powerful.
She is so powerful. This sounds really voyeuristic and naughty, but I would kind of like to be invisible sometimes. I'll not tell you when. But I used to try and do it when I was a little girl with my brothers. I should tell you that story.
You should tell that story.
Okay, I've started. But like in Glasgow, we lived in this flat. It's called a flat, like a tenement. It's called a flat, right? And in the toilet, for some reason, like we had this little loft area, and we could climb into it. And I would do that, and then I would hide and waiting for one of my brothers to come in and have a private moment, and then I'd be like, "Whoa!" So that was really my version of being invisible.
But I think sisters all around the world can relate to that story.
Yes. Oh, yes. I was the perfect little sister because I was
Absolutely.
extremely annoying.
Yeah, me too.
And still am.
We had a staircase where you could peek and see a little bit, and I used to do the same thing. So you're not alone.
That's
in
our
that.
job.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is our only purpose.
Yeah, we're teaching them tolerance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not all heroes wear capes.
They should be I like that.
Right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. There are so many themes
Oh my God, you're
explored
great.
in Sabrina. One of them being female empowerment, and that's pretty much in every episode you're feeling some sort of dynamic or conversation. Sabrina's tackling something, and I love that they have her tackling kind of female empowerment in her real life, but then even when she comes over into the occult world, she's still battling misogyny, and that's one place where you and her character have really connected.
I think we have, absolutely. I think that, you know, that might be the key for our future. I mean, I don't know what the storylines, honestly don't know what the storylines are going to be moving forward, but I see that would be a natural path for us to take as characters together. I honestly feel like Kiernan is waking Madam Satan up, right? This this poor woman, she's just a poor old demon after all, you know, has been striving to be heard and striving to find her voice and striving to be in charge, if you like, right? And look at where we're at today. I mean, like, things have really accelerated out there, even in the last 2 years with some of the movements that we've all been supporting. And, we now live in a culture and a society where Nancy Pelosi is hot, regardless of her age, right? And I love that we can, it's true. It's true. Have you seen her? She is blooming. And that's because she's confident and she's finding her voice and she's doing things that I would absolutely support. Not that we want to get too political here, but just to get onto the fact that, women don't have to be invisible after a certain age because they're a certain age. It's like, every single person in this room happened because a woman made you.
Don't
right?
you ever forget that.
And, they're pretty vital in the role of this thing we call life. And so, it's important that we just stop with the labels. Yeah. And I feel like that's what is the real strength of the chilling adventures of Sabrina. I think like society peppered labels all over us for a long time, and we're all a bit bored of it.
I think that's why it's so fun for me to watch, because I do, and I obviously don't know the end, I do see Madame Satan and Sabrina maybe coming together because they aren't really that different in like what they want and how they want equality and how they want to be included in the decisions and to know what's up. Yeah. So that makes it extra fun to watch for me.
I mean, we're not saying that this show is about crushing the patriarchy. That is not what this show is about. It just kind of happens to sort of touch on that button, right? But there's loads of other things and other issues that we are shining a light on, and just being inclusive. And that also means that we don't have to be labeled anymore, because everybody's valid, no matter what your belief system is, or who you like or don't like, or what you look like, or and they also, the fact that the bullying is coming from a place, I think, in society where there's so much. I just think we could all be a little kinder. Yeah. And so that's in there too. And again, female empowerment obviously is in there. Transgender, sexual preference, all of the above, just all the different shapes and sizes that makes a society. It's all fine. We can be anything we want to be as long as we're kind. Yeah.
And I can tell you really enjoy being a part of this project just by the way you're talking about all the different themes of inclusion. Is that something that's just important, or is that an added bonus for you being a part of this project, that you're on a show that is so inclusive and talking about these things?
Yeah, it's really important. I'm clearly not from around these parts, and I grew up in Glasgow, and it was a great city, but it was a hard city, and Scotland will always be my home, but. I always felt a little different. Yeah. I don't know, being a Scottish Mexican in Glasgow, it was kind of, I don't know. I just feel like things would be different today, maybe if I was living back then. It wasn't bad. It was just, I never really felt like I fit in. So I can really relate to, the heart of the show. And this is what Sabrina stands for. It's almost like we're watching her let go of the last flush of innocence as she makes that transition into adulthood, which is really tricky. It's a hard, difficult phase to go through. And so I think that, there's lots of, we can talk about women of a certain age that are older, but we can also talk about women of a certain age that are younger, right? And girls need to have a strong, positive role model, and that's what she stands for, I think.
I love that. This role for you, I feel like, was made for you, but I want to know, what roles do you want to play going forward? What is something that you really can't wait to put your teeth in?
I come from a long theatrical background. I mean, I was like 20 odd years of, those floorboards. Are they floorboards? Well, they're definitely wooden anyway. I ticked a lot of boxes, like from Ibsen to Pinter to Shakespeare but I haven't ticked the musical theatre box. And I feel some high kicking might be needed in my future, maybe. Maybe
no sign.
Maybe a Mama Rose one day. I would really love to, after, obviously I'm immersed in Sabrina and committed to that right now. But if you're asking me what my ambitions are left, I just would love to get on Broadway and have a little run around there for a minute.
What is it about Mama Rose, that character, that you love?
Oh, gosh. Just again, what a powerhouse of a woman. Fearless and tragic and funny and just, sort of intensely entertaining in a way, but also, sort of heartbreaking. She's everything. That character, it's an incredible role. So yeah, I think I've got one of them in me.
I love the complexity of her, and again, just the more you can dive into a woman and have like those layers.
There's I do draw parallels to that dynamic to her and what's, I know she's a stage mom, and I feel like Madam Satan is Sabrina's stage mom, and she just, takes over like the younger generation just comes up and eclipses her. And how do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal with that as you're getting older? How do you move forward with your integrity and not just kind of fade and accept it's time to wear a cardigan and eat a packet of biscuits? I'm not ready to do that yet.
I do feel like we're moving past that, though. There are so many dynamic women that we see out there now who are just like aging and
Can you believe we're still talking about
I
this
know,
as
that's
well?
what I'm
It's like,
saying. But I think I always look to those women, and I can't wait to have sort of
you're
that,
one of them.
Well, you know what I mean? Like that clarity and confidence that
Yeah.
just comes from life and just having and knowing what you want.
Yeah. I think it's changing. It feels like there's been a massive shift recently.
Yeah, I can feel it. Well, I know our audience cannot wait to ask you questions. So who do we have first?
Hi. First, I want to say thank you so much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. So your most recent roles have been a little more morally compromised, to say the least. And you've touched a little bit on enjoying those, but do you enjoy them more than somebody who's more clear-cut the hero? Because Missy and Madame Satan are the villains, but they're not completely the villains. So
Yeah, and I enjoy the complexity of it. I enjoy the just really just being able to sort of manipulate a situation in a way as a character, and then finding out what the consequences of that are is interesting for me. Yes, I would love to play a part where my name was Alison. Are you kidding me? But I'm going with what God gave me, if there is a God, and just thoroughly enjoying my role at the moment.
thank you.
As a badass.
Allison or Rebecca or Susie.
Susie,
Heather.
It's never gonna happen.
We can make this happen. I know people. Make a call. Next question.
Hi. Oh, I wrote down my question because I thought I'd forget it. With Lilith, did you study the deity before you started the role? And if so, did that influence where you took it during the season or during the show?
The answer is no, I did not study that.
Cool.
Basically, because I'm probably one of the laziest people you've ever met, and I haven't studied much, as it's probably obvious. I tend to try and stay as uninformed as possible. That's ridiculous. I can't say that, but I have. But joking aside, I try to stay really unencumbered by anybody else's notion of what might happen once it's in my hands, and it's my interpretation. And some information is useful. I need to know literally how to get from A to B in a scene and what it is I'm trying to get out of somebody or what the motivation is. But I can get inhibited by or overwhelmed by too much information. And it also makes me a little... I've learned this the hard way, because before I used to be a bit more studious, and I'm just like, where you want me to stand? I've got a line, I'm going to deliver it. And so that just kind of keeps me free and open to play.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
I could just have said no. I hadn't.
But that said, we do get some good Lilith backstory in the second season.
Yeah, we do. It's coming. The reasons why she's where she's at is going to unfold in some detail coming up in less than 24 hours.
Yes, I know. It's coming soon. And one last question.
Hi. I was wondering if there's anything in particular that you want to do as Madam Satan, on the show in the future.
I'm probably going to eat a bit more. I'm going to probably eat a few more men. I was actually convinced at the end of season 1 that Madam Satan was just going to eat herself. So I was thrilled when they said I was coming back. I think I'd like to see her make that play that parallel role with Sabrina, where that mentorship and that kind of dual power shift becomes a bit more equal. I think that would be really interesting. I'm hoping that that's where we're headed. I just might be giving you all a bum steer. I don't know.
I'm on the ride. Wherever you're taking me, I'm on the ride because
It's going to be great.
so much fun to watch you, Michelle. Honestly, you are one of my favorite characters in this series. And so I cannot wait to finish the second season and see where you take Madam Satan. If you guys want to check out season 2 of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, it hits Netflix tomorrow, April 5th. Give it up for Michelle Gomez.
Hey, thank you.